Before I get started on the video, I'd like to ask you guys to go ahead and hit the bell icon next to the subscribe button and hit the notification checkbox. That way you guys don't miss any future uploads from me and you become part of the notification squad. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the video. What's up, people of YouTube? This is World here, bringing you guys another video to my channel. And today we're going to be talking about something that is a little bit interesting in my eyes about, I want to say it's about Call of Duty, but it's not specifically about Call of Duty. This is basically going to be about the Activision and Bungie split. Now, if you guys don't know, Activision and Bungie have been partnered for a while now. They've been making games called Destiny, so I'm sure you're aware of what Destiny is. Destiny 1 was a huge hit. Destiny 2, not so much. It got received with a lot of backlash. It was a very cut and dry and just not a very entertaining game. For the most part, DLC did help that, but overall, it was not received real well. So they've been in development of Destiny 3. I don't think that's, any sort of a secret. Destiny 3 is on the horizon, or at least was. And then last week, at least at the time we were recording this, was announced that Bungie and Activision were going to split. And this means a couple of things. One, Activision is going to be losing a lot of money from this, regardless of if Activision thought that they weren't going to be making a lot of money moving forward with Destiny because of how Destiny 2 performed and the fight back from Bungie about how Activision wanted the game to run, which we'll get into that here in a minute. Or because they looked at Anthem, which is EA's game that's coming out, which is like a mix of Destiny and Titanfall together, kind of, as a threat to where they're like, well, last game didn't perform too well. They're working on the next one. Anthem's coming out. We should just, cut our losses and move on. Whether it was because of that or like I said, the previous reasoning, they're losing money. They're going to lose a lot of money from this, and that's going to bleed over into other things. And as a matter of fact, it already started to bleed over into other things. But before we get into what exactly it's going to affect outside of Bungie and Destiny and Activision, let's take a look at what the main issue is. From my understanding and from the videos that I've watched, which I've watched quite a few at this point, the biggest issue between Bungie and Activision was that Bungie wanted to make games that were not filled with microtransactions, that were not super littered with pay-to-win tactics. And if you've been paying any attention to Call of Duty over the years, the past 3 or 4 years, it's been bad. I mean, the supply drop system was atrocious. The new system in Black Ops 4 isn't that bad, but once again, we're going to get into that here in a second. Black Ops 3 was the worst. It was absolutely terrible in terms of microtransactions. Infinite Warfare wasn't bad. Modern Warfare Remastered wasn't bad. Call of Duty World War II was pretty rough. Advanced Warfare was also pretty rough. So we've had some really bumpy years in Call of Duty due to Activision's push on microtransactions and making as much money as possible off of these games. They want to sell games that are a shell of what they used to be, hence why we used to get like 9 to 10 assault rifles in every Call of Duty down to getting like 5 to 6 because, and they have more development time than they used to too, and now we're getting less weapons, and that's because Activision wants them to put those weapons into a pay box. They want you to pay money to get those weapons. They don't, they're going to give you less. They're going to give you what you want, but you're going to have to pay extra for that. It's like going to McDonald's, and let's say that McDonald's cheeseburgers used to have, lettuce and tomatoes and everything else on it. Well, 3 years down the road, they took the lettuce and tomato out, and now they're just giving you a burger with cheese and ketchup, and that's it. And it's like, well, whoa, what happened to everything else? Well, we still have it, but you got to pay for that extra part. You don't get to just have that anymore. Those are the shady tactics that Activision is doing. And they were heavily pushing this onto Destiny. We saw it in both Destiny 1 and 2, but it was worse in Destiny 2. Destiny 1 was more cosmetic than anything else. And people were okay with that, myself included. Then they really started to push in Destiny 2, with the pay to win. There was hunters, there was ghost drones or whatever that would give you like XP bonuses and stuff for having them. And that is ridiculous. That shouldn't be a thing. I'm okay with stuff like that, but there shouldn't be loot systems behind it and stuff like that. That shouldn't be the primary focus of the game's development. Bungie was also not okay with that. Bungie was fighting it, pushing back, giving, just really pushing back on Activision and the way that they were wanting these games to be developed. Basically, the entire time that Bungie and Activision were partnered, it was not a healthy, happy relationship. It was very tense and complicated. There were issues. I'm pretty sure that all of the developers, from what I read in the article, had said that when they got the news that Activision and Bungie were splitting, they cheered and were literally popping bottles of champagne because they were so happy to be gone from Activision. Now, like I said, Bungie splitting from Activision is going to cause a loss. Stockholders are going to they're going to sell their stocks. Their stock is going to plummet. If it hasn't, I haven't checked, but they're going to lose money from this. They're going to want to keep money. The thing that we haven't seen happen yet, at least too horribly, is the Black Ops 4 microtransactions have not been horrible. Like, they've been okay. I can tolerate them, but they haven't hit Black Ops 3 level of filth. And I'm worried that because of this split of Bungie and Activision, we're about to see a very, very bad side of Activision come out when it comes to microtransactions in Call of Duty. I feel like we're either about to see loot boxes return real hard, or we're about to see a lot of guns getting pushed into the game over the next couple of months, and a lot of them are going to be so hard to earn that we're going to have to pay for them if we want them. And then if we do pay for them, it's going to be really expensive. I think that's the route that we're going to start seeing happen in Black Ops 4, and it's a shame because I think Black Ops 4 is a great game. I also feel like if it doesn't hit real hard with Black Ops 4, it's going to be really bad in Modern Warfare 4 or whatever the next COD is. And that's a shame because the last thing that Infinity Ward needs is to release a title, it potentially not do real well because of their previous two titles, and then have a cancerous, absolutely cancerous system for microtransactions and money to be made for Activision. Because if you look at it, the IPs that Activision owns is what? Overwatch and Call of Duty. That is it. They used to have so many great IPs. They used to have, obviously, Destiny, Call of Duty, which isn't as popular as it once was. Overwatch, they had Tony Hawk. They used to have their hands in the Spider-Man games. They used to have so many titles. Guitar Hero? Yeah, I'm pretty sure Guitar Hero was Activision. They had so many titles that they were a part of in like true crime and all sorts of stuff in the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2 era, original Xbox, stuff like that have slowly dwindled. And I think we're starting to see the death of Activision, if we're being completely honest. Now, I don't know what this is going to mean. I feel like we're about to either see one of two things happen. Either they are going to fill, and I mean fill, Call of Duty with microtransactions and ways to make more money going into the rest of 2019 and probably 2020, or we're going to see Activision buying some developers and we're going to see some more titles being pushed out, which I hope it's the second one because more games is never a bad thing. But unfortunately, I don't think that Activision is ever really going to learn its lesson. The only developer out there that is probably worse than Activision when it comes to this kind of stuff is EA, and they've never learned their lesson. It's probably going on 5 years now, 6 years that we've had all these issues with loot boxes, the Battlefield fiasco, the Star Wars thing. EA just had to cancel a Star Wars game to focus on smaller projects. It's just not looking good, them focusing on all of these ways to make money rather than making quality games. Anyways, guys, that's all I really wanted to talk about in this video. I'd like to know your guys' opinion down in the comment section below. And if you did find this video interesting, go ahead and leave a like. Also, subscribe if you're new to the channel. And yeah, deuces.